One man, one mission, to rid the world of chronic anxiety once and for all. The anxiety guy, Dennis Simsek, shares his personal transformation from living a life filled with overwhelming worry to becoming a full-fledged positivity machine, a leading authority in generalized anxiety. Dennis gets to the truth of your mental health challenges and sets you on a path to transforming each and every area of your life. Here he is, the one and only, the anxiety guy.
Welcome to episode number 221. This is the Anxiety Guy podcast, and this is the first episode of 2020. I wish everyone out there a happy holidays, a happy new year. I hope that you were able to spend it with your loved ones, your friends. And you know what? This year will be that year. And I know we say that every single year, but it's time to learn from past mistakes, past resolutions that we never followed through with, and make this year the year of progress, the year of transformation, the year of momentum, not only around anxiety healing, but overall transformation, a new identity. This podcast episode is brought to you by my main website at theanxietyguy.com, the blogs, the programs, the previous podcast episodes, everything you need to know about me is all at theanxietyguy.com. Head on over, check it out, start your healing. Warriors, today we are discussing the amygdala. The amygdala. A tiny part of your brain that is within what we call the limbic system or the emotional brain that regulates your fight or flight response. Now, there's a few things you need to understand around why you feel the way you feel and why you react the way you react, because many times anxiety and panic isn't a conscious process. People don't many times consciously think their way into these emotional states, and they just kind of, boom, they just show up. Why am I feeling this way? And so we need to understand what's going on below the hood, under the conscious awareness of a human being, what's going on at an unconscious level, what are the processes that is creating this state. And when we create this state, as we follow this state and act on it and continue to think upon it, we attach more and more fear and panic to more and more things. People, situations, new environments, whatever it may be. Next thing you know, we're living in a comfort zone, rarely ever putting ourselves out there again. Anything that's unfamiliar, ooh, no, that's wrong, because it's different. You know, it's not that something is hard. A lot of people out there say it's hard to heal. It's hard this, it's hard that. It's not that it's hard. It's just that it's different. And because it's different, you interpret it as being hard. And if you place the meaning of hard onto something that you want to accomplish in your life, that it's difficult, then what's going to happen is you are literally programming yourself to fail. So instead of seeing things today as being difficult or hard to accomplish, just remind yourself that it's different and notice what starts to happen. Now, here's the first thing you need to understand about your amygdala and your anxiety together. You need to understand the negativity bias, okay? The amygdala looks for bad news. It looks for bad news. I mean, honestly, we are up against it. I'm not saying this so that you can continue victimizing yourself. I'm saying this so that you can gain a deeper understanding and be more mindful as to what's going on in your life. Why do I have this feeling constantly? So there's a negativity bias. The amygdala looks for bad news. And understand this, around 70% of the amygdala's cells are organized around negative stimuli. So basically, what that means is there's potential for you to unconsciously associate anything to being a threat. It could even be a pencil. You look at a pencil and you're going, well, the balanced me, the balanced mental and emotional me would see that pencil and go, ooh, it's for writing. But the anxious me, if this is in fact a state that you've practiced and programmed yourself into over the years, is showing up in that moment. You look at that pencil and go, what would it be like to be stabbed by that pencil? Oh my goodness. I mean, you can create anything, really. Anything. You look at a cup of water. I don't want a cup of water. I had a bad experience with water before, so I want to drink it very, very, very slowly and minimally. Because maybe you were on a beach long time ago and you had an accident at the beach. Water was there, sand was there, people were there, and the amygdala attached everything in that situation to being a threat to you. So if 70% of the amygdala's cells are organized around negative stimuli, only 30% are organized around positive stimuli. The second thing we need to understand about the amygdala, and this is very, very important, when it finds bad news, itself and its partner, the hippocampus, responsible for long-term memory, create memory for the context of that bad news. Stress hormones get activated to respond to the bad news. The memory system takes the bad news and places it in storage and sets it up for immediate retrieval based around anything, keyword, anything that comes along that's similar to it. This is why whoever you are today is a result of what came first in your life, since during childhood it was all emotions, no access to conscious thinking, and what was repeated the most often. Whatever came first and whatever was repeated the most often, voila, you have you today. So, pens, water, walls, people, for example. You're going about your day and someone criticizes you in some way, and all of a sudden the general idea is that people are bad. And I must distance myself from people so that they don't trigger my anxiety. So you distance yourself. You have a generalization over people as a whole just because of one bad experience. But we never take the time to analyze that bad experience and say, you know what? If I were to go to a tree and start picking apples, the more apples I pick, the more chance there is that I'm going to grab a bad apple in there somewhere. So it's not that people are generally bad or up against you or whatever it is, whatever meaning you've created. It's just that you ran into a bad apple. But do we ever take the time to recognize that it's just one challenging experience? No, we don't. Because the amygdala kicks in and says everything is X based on this emotional response and you confirming it through your thoughts and actions. Buddha called it the second dart. The first dart is the initial reaction to a situation. Let's call it fear. The second dart is a conscious reaction. If you continue thinking in line with that initial dart, you are throwing second darts into that place. And if you continue to throw second darts, you are now thinking and acting in line with the subconscious you that believes that reality is a threatening thing. And you must protect yourself at every corner. So this is important. It's important to understand how the amygdala connects things to other things. Next thing you know, we are generalizing everything and we're not really paying attention. We are literally enslaved to our emotions. Are you enslaved to your emotions? The third thing we need to understand around the amygdala is that positive experiences have to be held in awareness for quite some time, and they must be repeated consistently to go from short to long-term memory storage. What that means is that negative experiences are much more easily stored compared to positive ones. That's it. You know what this means? This means that you have to consciously feel better, consciously think above your emotional reactions, consciously act above your emotional reactions, consistently over and over and over again to convince the amygdala that something is not a threat but is in fact neutral and safe. So you could have one negative experience and boom, it goes from short to long-term memory. There it is. This is based on our evolution. Or you could have a positive experience, which means don't expect that positive experience to be stored in long-term memory. It's going to take repeated, consistent effort in order for that to occur. Now, warrior, understand this. The amygdala needs guidance. It doesn't need more evidence to prove that something it believes is life-threatening actually is. It already does a good job of attaching everything to a potential threat. So, accept it, understand it better, love it for the job that it's doing, and most importantly, lead it rather than be led by the amygdala. I promise you, if you can do this, you will not only be free from anxiety, but you will thrive and prosper internally and externally. I love you from the bottom of my heart. Let's start 2020 off on the right foot. This podcast episode will be up on YouTube every Friday, so go ahead. I usually listen to something 3, 4, 5 times in order to get more and more clarity and messages from it, so repeat it. And if you have any other questions on any of my recovery programs around anxiety, head on over to theanxietyguy.com and head to my programs. Remember that you are more than anxiety. I'll see you in the next episode. Bye-bye.